Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and tonight I have 4 scary stories for you. 42 brought to me 4, and the last one? Why, it was sent to me by one of my Patreons. That is the first one I'm going to read to you tonight. So, make sure you're safe before you sit back and listen to these chilling tales. Want to hear a wild story? My brother's history professor is closing in on 80 and basically lives at the university. One night, my brother visits him for a meeting, and it comes up that my brother was going to be performing as a court jester at the castle the following day. And his professor bursts out, "Ah, that reminds me of my youth." He then proceeds to tell the tale and when he and his friends went backpacking in Greece back in the early 20s. Then, one day, they found themselves completely penniless. So, they decided the only reasonable thing to do was to set up an acrobatic show in skimpy outfits on the beach at day and then drink up the money at night. After a week or so, they gained some traction. A gang of young Greek men walk up to them like, "Hey, y'all cool as hell. Can we join y'all for drinks tonight?" And my brother's professor was like, "Of course. You'll all have to wear revealing outfits and do somersaults with us though." And the Greek gang said, "Sounds dope. Y'all are invited to live with us for however long you want." Anyhow, they proceed to live like this for the better part of 3 months. Doing shows, drinking, and sleeping at the Greek gang's apartment. But after a while, they decided enough was enough and said thank you for everything, but we're going back to Sweden now. The Greeks said, "Sure, love y'all, have a safe trip, XX." Half a year later, my brother's professor gets contacted by the Greek police. They ask him about the months they spent in Greece, and then inform him that their Greek friends have been convicted of serial homicide and robbery. That the group of young Greek men had joined up with several tourist groups for several years for drinks, and then killed and robbed them all, terrorizing the beach city for several years. With one exception, of course, because this one group of Swedish acrobatics in slutty strongman suits were just so damn nice. And that is the story of how one Swedish history university professor survived sharing a flat with a group of serial killers for several months by performing acrobatics in slutty outfits on the beach. Moral of the story? Be kind of heart and thick of ass. Man who wanted to wine and dine a 15-year-old me. I haven't thought about this for years. I don't know what made me remember this repressed memory of mine, but here we go. As a 15-year-old girl who wasn't the skinniest coin in the jar, I very much craved the attention of guys. I didn't date at all until I went to college. No guy at my school really showed me any attention in me. The ones that I thought might never made a move either. So, I found the Whisper app. On the Whisper app, you can anonymously post your thoughts and feelings where basically anyone around the world can see, as well as people who were only a couple of miles away. In fact, there's a separate tab to look at whispers from your area. You can heart people's posts, reply to them, or direct chat with the person. You can choose what info about yourself is available to be seen when someone decides to direct message you, such as your age and gender. I chose not to make that information public. I don't remember what I posted, but someone DM'd me. Their info didn't say much either besides their gender. I was obviously very naive and assumed that this was a guy my age who wanted to talk to me because the words he chose and how his messages were written made him seem younger. He asked me some questions about me, like how old I was, my interests, what I did for work, etc. I answered those questions. He also asked to see a picture of me. I sent him a picture. He told me how beautiful I was, how I was out of his league. He would dodge questions about himself. He would say that he was boring, that he just wanted to talk about me. I eventually managed to get him to send a picture of himself. You guessed it, mid-40s man. I was surprised he sent an honest picture of himself. But at this point, I'm very, understandably, freaked out. He then started to ask to take me out to dinner. I stopped talking to him at this point. But he kept trying and saying stuff like, I'll take you out somewhere really nice. I'll throw in a massage, winky face. I figured out you could block people, so that's what I did, and I didn't really think much of it after that. I basically forgot about the conversations after I fell asleep that night. A couple weeks later, I was at work and it was slammed. The checkout line was starting to wrap around the small store I was working at. There was only one line, but 2 checkout registers at the counter at my work. I had just finished checking out a large order and kinda just looked up to see how bad the line was, and if it seemed it was going to calm down soon. That's when I made eye contact with a familiar face. I couldn't quite place it at first. Then the man smiled and silently mouthed, "Hi, OP." The image he sent me in the chat immediately flashed in my mind, and I felt my stomach drop and my heart race. I was effing terrified and really didn't want to check this guy out. So, I made sure to check out people way slower than I normally do. My coworker checked him out, but I could feel him staring at me. He even tried to wave goodbye as he left. I refused to even slightly turn my head in his direction. As soon as it calmed down in the store, I went to the bathroom and had a huge panic attack where I nearly threw up. When my mom came to pick me up from work, I very closely watched the side mirrors to make sure we weren't being followed by anyone. After that day, I stopped answering DMs if it wasn't someone who wanted to have an actual conversation about something I posted. Beauty. Ever since I was a little girl, my parents told me I was pretty. Everybody told me that.
Bailey, how are you so pretty?
You're so beautiful.
Must feel good to be so pretty.
I had every boy's attention. They bought me flowers, chocolates, made me cards, bought me teddy bears and heart pillows, asked me to date them and try to impress me. I was the popular girl at school. Even the older kids looked my way when passing by me. I was some of my teachers' favorite because of my beauty. The older ladies and men on my street baked me cookies and bought me dresses and nail polish. Every girl my age or older wanted to be my friend. I was always told that I needed to take the grand prize in the Britain's Prettiest. I looked at the mirror every day, examining my face. It was pretty indeed. I liked the fame. I liked the beauty privilege. I liked that everybody loved me. The only thing is, they don't know. They don't know about the girl in my basement whose face is missing. Daughter's past life memories. To start, let me explain that we have 3 children, and our middle child is the only one to experience and share these memories with us. Our youngest isn't yet 2, so he's yet not old enough to share with us. But our eldest is 8 and has never shared anything like this. Our 4-year-old daughter has been telling us about her old family since she was 2.5. Her details have never changed. She talks about her old mommy, Rosie, and her old daddy, though she never spoken his name, and her 2 brothers and 2 sisters, also unnamed. She also talks about how they didn't live on this planet, which is a weird thing for a child to say at 2.5. She hadn't learned about planets yet. In the beginning, we acknowledged that it could just be her imagination, and we just listened and showed interest and didn't respond except to say, "It's okay to miss your old family, but you're here with us now and we love you very much. We're your family now." Other than that, we did our best not to say anything that would sway one way or the other. We don't ask for details, but we listen when she speaks openly. She always tells us how they all died in a lot of water. She says, "There was so much water, it went over everybody's head, and it was even taller than our house." This was odd because she hasn't experienced a loss of any kind and has repeated this since before she really was aware what death is. She also hasn't had any kind of near drowning experience and only had been in a pool once before 1.5 in my arms, never submerged. Last night, she started asking about death in general. Common age to begin developing awareness and curiosity of death. But she was so nonchalant and unafraid. Our eldest began asking about death at this age, but in a fearful way. Then she began talking about her old family again. She talked about how they all died and she went somewhere else, but she didn't know where. She said something about sitting under a tree. I respond with, "Oh, yeah, kiddo?" And she says back, "Yeah, then it got really dark and I went into your belly." I generally believe her, and I know there are many documented cases of children recalling past lives. Any other parents out there that want to share a similar experience? I hope you guys enjoyed these stories tonight. If you want me to read stories you have found or experienced, you can either go to my Reddit and submit it there, or even email me. This is really what I want to do. Read your stories. All the links are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and if you liked it, please hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you want to hear more, subscribe and turn that bell to all notifications. Also, share this video with anyone you think might enjoy it. Help me spread these stories to more people, please. I really love telling these stories for you guys. Of course, come back Thursday for my Daily Tales, found for us by 2. Have a good night, my friends.